Hello, I'm Iolani Haleski, St. Johns County naturalist. I'm out here with Tara Freeman, and we're talking to you about plant identification. We're gonna look at a few similar flowers, and we're gonna start to talk about that first, okay? Hey Tara, how you doing?
Hi Iolani, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. What you got for us today?
Well, we have three flowers that to the eye would look very similar. So we are going to discuss ways to differentiate using an ID book, as well as looking at the very basic characteristics of these plants to tell them apart.
Nice.
So let's start with this one right here. Actually, to look, all of them have yellow flowers, and they're all yellow composite flowers. So they're very similar, right?
Yeah, very much.
How do you tell them apart?
Some people would even say they are the same flower.
A lot of people would think that. So we are going to teach you how to tell them apart. Let's start with this one. So with flowers, you would count the number of petals. So that's one way to start. And you would also look at the color. So these are very obvious characteristics. So this is in the middle here, we have what is called a disc floret. That's a brownish red spot. And it's surrounded by these bright yellow, what we call ray florets. So that's one aspect. Then we go to the leaves. These leaves are very unique. Their shape is called deltoid. Look at, they're kind of flat at the bottom, and then they go up to kind of a peak at the top. But the other very interesting characteristic, if you could touch that, these leaves are rough to the touch. So most leaves are not rough to the touch. So that combined with the leaf shape itself are very distinguishing characteristics. So if you combine that with the overall shape and spread of this plant, you will find that this is kind of a ground cover. It's a creeping plant. It spreads along the ground. And we would compare that to the characteristics in an ID book, and we would find out that this is a dune sunflower or a dune daisy. It's Helianthus debilis. This is the one you see growing at the beach.
All right.
It grows in the sandy environment.
So how does that compare to the other flowers?
Okay, well these two are even trickier. These two look even more similar until you get down to the characteristics. What do you see between these two? This one and this one that is the most different.
Well, the color for sure.
So different colors of the petals, or
no, where the seed pods are, where the pollination would be.
The middle sections here, yes. So this has a brown center, and this has a yellow center.
That's correct.
So those are two very distinguishing characteristics. So let's start over here. This is a very common wildflower we'll see growing. It has a rather large flower head. I'd say that's about 2 to 3 inches wide. And this brown center, we call those the disc flowers.
Okay.
And if we were to count, this type of flower has between 10 and 20 daisy-like yellow petals. And these are the ray flowers. Also, taking a look at the leaf shape, I'm going to pick this off to make it easier. Interestingly, these leaves are also very rough to the touch. But unlike the dune daisy we just looked at,
which is this one.
Yes, look at the different way they are shaped. So this has a very narrow, long, lanceolate shape to it.
Definitely. Nice.
Also, if we look at the way it's arranged on the stem, this kind of has an interesting arrangement. Really, we would need to look further down on the stem to really tell the difference, but let's move on to this one here, the third flower. So, as we said, this one is smaller. I would say that's just about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide.
Yep.
From the tip of the petal to the tip of the petal on the other side.
There's about 8 petals on this one.
Okay. And they are bright yellow petals, and they're golden center. The disc flower is golden.
Mm-hmm.
Now if we look at these leaves, these are also lance shaped, but they are much thinner than the Rudbeckia, the black-eyed Susan that we just looked at. All right, did we mention that other one was the black-eyed Susan?
I'm not sure if we actually said that or not.
But,
I think you said the scientific name.
Oh, okay, so this one is Rudbeckia hirta, And over here,
or black-eyed Susan.
Or black-eyed Susan, yes. And here we have, it's the native Florida wildflower. It's the Coreopsis lanceolata. It's a lance leaf tickseed or lance leaf Coreopsis.
Which is also the Florida state flower.
Mm-hmm. So when you're comparing these plants, just encourage you to look at some basic characteristics. So you're looking at the flower head, the shape, the color, the outer petals, the center disc. You're looking at the leaf shape as well as the way they are attached to the stem. You can look at the shape of the stem and the roughness of the leaves, the texture. Some plants have hair, some plants don't have hair, some plants have smooth edges, other plants have toothed edges. So you just break it down to look at all the details, and then if you have a good plant ID book, you just compare it to the characteristics in the description until you find the right one.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Let's look at some other stuff.